So my name is Jill Tassel, and I'm the program manager, acting program manager right now at the Provincial Correctional Center.
And I'm Ryan Deagle. I am a correctional supervisor here at the Provincial Correctional Center as well.
So Ryan and I are just going to give you a brief presentation that we give throughout different schools, high schools, universities, and colleges, locally and then throughout the Maritimes, just kind of discussing why pursuing a career in corrections is a good option and all the opportunities that come along with it. So we'll talk a little bit about ourselves and what led us each to corrections. I think oftentimes people feel that the traditional route of going to the Atlantic Police Academy and attending the correctional officer program there is the only way to become a correctional officer. But I actually completed a undergraduate in criminology, a Bachelor of Arts from St. Mary's University. And then I was able to be considered qualified for the position through that. From there, I was a correctional officer for 2 years. I moved into the programs team, kind of came away from the front line and was doing more rehabilitation programming work with the offenders. And just as of March, I'm now the acting program manager.
Yeah, and my story is similar to Jill's in that I had went to UPEI and got a Bachelor of Arts major in political science. And following that, wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do with my life in terms of career. Someone who worked at the jail at the time, who was a friend of mine, reached out and encouraged me to apply as a correctional officer, a casual correctional officer, saying that a Bachelor of Arts was enough to qualify you to work as a correctional officer. And so I did. I got hired on as a casual correctional officer. About a year later, got a permanent job as a correctional officer. And then I think it's been 7 years now. 7 years that I've been working at the correctional center. And in that amount of time, I've been fortunate enough to kind of jump my way up the ranks. From permanent correctional officer, I went to shift supervisor, and then from shift supervisor to correctional supervisor, which is what I do now. Where Jillian kind of took the route of programs and rehabilitation. I've kind of stayed on the security and operations side of corrections here. And having the post-secondary degree, the undergrad, really opened up a lot more doors career-wise for me, and Jillian would say the same thing, as opposed to just having gone to the Atlantic Police Academy and doing the corrections course there.
And this is just kind of a visual of our facility. So we had traditionally kind of the male population and then a small amount of females, but as our female population continued to grow, we recently built on a 34-bed addition. So we now have a capacity of around 160.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Yeah, so if every bed is full, we can hold about 160 in custody with us. We have all different classifications: minimum, medium, maximum security. There are no federal facilities on PEI, so we house anyone who is going to be transported federal. So you get a lot of experience with direct supervision, closed supervision, women, men, lots of different kind of groups coming through the door. So it's great in terms of experience.
A day in the life for someone like me, a correctional supervisor. Day to day, I kind of work on what we call the floor, and basically what that means is kind of running the facility as a whole, dealing with staffing requirements, offender appointments inside or outside the facility. We escort them outside to different appointments. I liaise quite a bit with outside agencies, other government agencies within our department, and RCMP and CBSA, any agency like that. Yeah.
And then for myself, in a management role, it's a little bit different than whenever I was a program officer or a correctional officer, but now I oversee the programs team. I'm kind of similar to Ryan, where I'm a liaison between community agencies. We may have like Alcoholics Anonymous coming in, different chaplaincy programs, and I'm kind of their main point of contact. But a program officer, they would be facilitating rehabilitation programs, helping with case planning for the offenders in consultation with the correctional officers. And then in terms of a correctional officer day in the life, we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. And that's where most people start their career, even if you are hoping to go kind of into a different role eventually. It's really foundational to have that experience as a correctional officer. And I think Ryan can probably agree that it really does just help you understand your job better and kind of understand your role in the offender's life while they're in custody with us.
Yeah. So we work in a correctional center. There's obviously positives to the job, and there's some negative parts to the job too, just by nature. Some of the positives: it's a very competitive salary here, and there's all kinds of job opportunities, both internally within our facility and otherwise in our division or our department. There's lots of correctional officers that come and work for us for a little bit, and then once you get your foot in the door with government, it opens up all kinds of doors, and they move on to places like ankle monitoring division, sheriff services. Some even move on to policing, probations, victim services, maintenance enforcement. The list goes on. It opens up all kinds of doors career wise. You get to contribute in a meaningful way, to offenders' rehabilitation process. There's all kinds of opportunity to build additional skills here. Our division offers all kinds of training throughout the year, and they encourage us to further our education in that regard. It's a team-oriented environment. We like to think we're one big happy family here. Someone like me, when Jillian and I speak to different groups and schools, I always say there's not one day I've woke up and have dreaded coming to work. And I think when you work at a correctional center, that says a lot. And the biggest reason for that is the people I work with and the team-oriented environment here. We issue uniforms here, so you get to come here as a correctional officer, and we'll give you all the kit and the gear you need. You don't have to worry about any of that. And internal and external job opportunities. I kind of touched on that earlier there.
And then in terms of the negatives, of course, kind of law enforcement comes with that. And a lot of these negatives would be seen across the board, no matter what part of law enforcement you're working in. But shift work isn't for everyone. That's some people love it, some people really don't, but there's also jobs within the facility that don't have shift work as part of their duties. So we have court officers who work when the courts do from 8 to 4 Monday to Friday. We have a gym officer. All that he does, or I shouldn't say all he does, but his main role is to supervise gym, and he's again an 8 to 4 Monday to Friday kind of person. Our program officers, addiction counselor, all of those roles, administrative roles would be a normal kind of schedule, not shift work. It can be potentially dangerous, and sometimes you may be put in violent situations, but one nice thing about that is that you're never alone. So you're not working by yourself at any time. We all have radios, and you can always call for help, and you'll have a whole herd of people running down the hall to kind of help you with whatever your situation is in a few seconds. It's mentally draining. So when you're dealing with people who are chronically mentally ill or struggle with addiction issues, it can certainly weigh on you. But we have lots of programs in place to support staff, like our employee assistance program, EAP, if you haven't heard of that, is like confidential therapists specific to our division. Physically demanding, so you may be responding to codes, as I had said, and you may have to kind of go hands-on. We take in police lockups as well. Sometimes they can be a little irate, but again, you have strength in numbers, and we always have numbers. Death and suicide exposure. So I would argue that this isn't something we see as often as other facilities may, but it's certainly something to keep in mind. And an increased clientele with mental health concerns. So, over the years, as the synthetic drugs have become more prominent, we've seen a lot more mental health issues with the people that are coming into our custody. But we have increased training designed to support like mental health first aid and different things like that staff can take to help them kind of better understand these individuals and how to support them.
Application qualifications. So applicants must have successful completion of an undergraduate degree, preferably in the social sciences. So Jillian had mentioned she is criminology, which is obviously very relevant. But someone like myself who graduated from UPI with a BA and major in political sciences, I wouldn't necessarily have thought that would be applicable or be relevant, but it is. So social sciences, anything under the Bachelor of Arts umbrella. Get some strong interpersonal teamwork, problem-solving skills. You have to have a valid class 4 driver's license, CPR, first aid, which we do renew here every 3 years in the facility for you for free. You have to have a good previous work and attendance record. Applicants must have be available for shift work and weekend and work on an on-call basis. So as a casual correctional officer, when you start out, you have the majority of your shifts are normally scheduled, but then the remainder of your shifts for a full-time block are usually call-ins. So a supervisor like myself or a scheduling officer will be calling you, asking you to come to work. So you do have to be available for call-ins. That's only as a casual. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Eventually, when you get a permanent correctional officer job, you have a set schedule, obviously. So you're not always married to your phone. You have to have satisfactory references and criminal record check as well.
Duties and where to apply. So our casual correctional officers provide security, supervision of offenders, and a variety of program and services for offenders within our correctional center on a rotating shift basis. So if you're a casual, you may come in and there's going to be a roster where you're placed. One day you might be filling in for the gym officer and your whole day is supervising gym. Maybe you're scheduled to go on a federal penitentiary transfer and your whole day is going to be on the road. You might be on a general living unit. It just depends on the day until you're placed into a line or you get a permanent job, and then you're always going to be kind of on the same unit. But no matter where you are, the duties are kind of always the same. So making sure you're following all of our procedures like security checks, head counts, searches, and supervision of offenders, daily routine of the offenders, maintaining control over the security equipment. So everyone has keys and cuffs. If you're on a transport, you may be given pepper spray or different things like that. If you get a permanent job or a temp position, you'll be involved in casework for offenders. So you can kind of support in that rehabilitation through that. Developing the release plans, that's through the casework as well. As I'd said, going to different appointments, documentation. So we have an online offender management system, which is kind of where we put all their information. So you're going to log kind of what they did that day or if anything was out of the ordinary. And there's lots of information in there that's really helpful to lots of different agencies. Incident reports. So if anything kind of out of the ordinary occurs, you'll be writing incident reports and other duties as required. So there are lots of different things you may be doing. And to apply to be a casual correctional officer, you can find the posting on the Jobs PEI website. I put a link down there, but it's pretty easy to find, and we have open intake. So the posting is always up, and then a couple times a year, someone like Ryan will be assigned to go through the pool of candidates, choose who's qualified, and then from there they will schedule interviews. If you're successful, then you'll be hired and start orientation with us.
Salary and benefits. So current casual staff are level 13 now.
Casuals are
Casuals are 12. Okay,
yeah.
sorry. So level 12, and when you're a casual, casuals don't have the luxury of having sick time, vacation, special leave, and all the benefits that come with being a permanent correctional officer. But in lieu of that, they make an extra 12% on top of their wage. So starting salary, as per the collective agreement, is approximately $31 to $36 an hour.
That's with the 12%.
Yeah, and then the brackets there is what you're seeing is plus your 12%. And then on top of that, there's shift premiums as well. So if you work evenings, nights, or weekends, you make a shift premium on top of that. Current permanent staff. Okay, so yeah, sorry, yeah. So level 13, starting salary 33 to 37. And again, when you're permanent, you also get shift premiums, same as you would when you're casual. You do lose the 12% on top of your wage, but then you start to accrue sick time, vacation, special leave, pension. Yeah, that's a big one, and all those good things. Pension is every contribution is matched by the provincial government. That's a good benefit. Yeah, so shift premiums on the bottom there, an extra $3.20 on a night shift, extra $3.45 if you're on a weekend shift. So if you're working a night on a weekend, you can do the math there. You're making a decent chunk extra on top of your regular hourly wage. These are the updated numbers.
Yeah, so I was saying to Ryan earlier this morning, our collective agreement was like just proposed. So these numbers, I think, are accurate. They're pretty much in the ballpark. They may be a few cents off, but yeah, we just got a really positive collective agreement that came back. So everyone got a $3.25 raise plus a couple percentages over a few years, and our shift premiums went up quite a bit. So it was good timing for this video.
Yeah, for sure. On the right-hand side, benefits. So we have dental benefits, vision, medical and drug plans, acupuncture, massage, physio. We touched on the pension program. Government matches every contribution. And then we have all kinds of retail discounts, both through our union, we're unionized here, and also just through being a law enforcement officer. So anywhere from hotels, flights, restaurants, Lululemon, Helly Hansen, the list goes on and on. So there's all kinds of cool little perks like that.
Internal and external opportunities. So Ryan and I had kind of touched on these throughout the presentation, but within the facility, there's lots of room for growth. And then if you come here and decide that custody is not for you, there's lots of community-based opportunities as well within our division or our department. So if you start here as a casual correctional officer, you're a CO2. You can move into a CO3 position, which is what Ryan had mentioned, the shift supervisor. So you would be kind of the supervisor on your night shifts and helping the floor if they need you during the day. We have the correctional officer 4s or CO4s. That's what Ryan's role is. You're the correctional supervisor. You would be assigned to a correctional unit, and then you would oversee the operations on that unit and the staff there. We also have our disturbance response unit. So that's something that you would try out for. I think they hold tryouts about once a year, and that would be if there's any kind of major incident, the DREW team would be called in. They do organized searches and different things like that. Our educational specialists are our teacher in-house, our addiction counselor, program manager. We also have program officers, operations programs and security managers, and then our center manager. And then our other related agencies, as I said, we had touched on a lot of them, but we have probation, victim services, court services, sheriff services, youth justice, which kind of falls under the umbrella of probation, restorative justice, housing and income support, electronic monitoring, mental health and addictions, child and family, and maintenance enforcement. So we've seen people that start with us in correctional officer roles go to every single one of those different places. And there would be even more. As Ryan said, lots of people also go to policing. But working with us is just such excellent experience. Maybe you come here and love being a CO and want to stay. But if you don't, the experience really does kind of follow you and help you in any other role that you end up in. And I think that's everything. Is there anything I missed? Yeah. If anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer them. And if not, our contact information is there as well, and you can reach out anytime.
Thank you so much, Ryan and Jill. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions for them, please raise your hand or pop them in the chat. And we'll hang out for a couple of minutes just to see.
Thank you for the thorough presentation. And I have one question, is that one of the qualification for this position is you have to be a Canadian citizen, right? Like permanent citizen or?
No, you can work here with your permanent residency as well.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, you're welcome.